I witnessed, recorded, and produced these videotapes of the Washington, D.C. hearing. Their authenticity is above question.
This is produced as part of the ongoing work on the website, thewaythetruthandthelife.net.
This is a hearing about the government licensing the electrocution of people to cause grand mal seizures. Think of the millions of dollars, taxpayers' money, spent to pay psychiatrists and their supporters and for the worldwide travel in putting this conference together, while the victims and opponents had to pay their own way.
All other people who've never spoken, this gentleman here is next.
Now, Mike Allen from Dallas, Fort Worth, and I want to emphasize one thing to the panel. On the consent issue, remember to consider the right to treatment. There have been numerous decisions saying that in psychiatry we have an absolute requirement to treat patients as we see medically fit in our judgment. Don't recommend something that will impair the rational patient's decision to choose to have ECT. The involuntary patient, the patient in the public hospitals of Texas, for example, are victims of this kind of political conflict and do not get ECT because of the political conflict. So I would urge you to consider the right to treatment because the people in California voted with their feet. The ones that needed ECT went to Arizona and Nevada when California outlawed ECT. And I want you to remember that the majority of patients that I've treated and the majority of patients treated with ECT are the silent majority out there doing what Freud said to do, which is love, work, and live. And they're not here demonstrating or making all kinds of statements about the torture they went through. They're out living their lives, which is what the object of the treatment is to begin with. Secondly, don't rule out bitemporal ECT. Why is it that 90% of practicing psychiatrists in this country use bitemporal electrode placement? Why is it that 70% of British psychiatrists use bitemporal electrode placement? I would submit that Dr. Weiner's study is a brilliantly executed, randomized, blind study, which is one that has to be done and which raises, in my mind, questions as to whether or not unilateral might actually work, which I don't think it does. In my experience using dexamethasone testing, other objective criteria. The point is that it's an open question, so I urge you not to just throw out bitemporal ECT. The last thing is that it's not an all or nothing thing. We use electrode placement that is in between bitemporal and bifrontal. And I don't worry about the fact it takes more current to get a seizure because, as Dr. Weiner, I think, pointed out, it is skull and sinuses there which don't get damaged by electricity, as the brain, I don't think, gets damaged. So all I ask is that you consider the scientific evidence and consider those patients who are well and functioning because of ECT. Because you have heard of vocal minority and you have heard the 2 minutes that each of the other patients who benefited from ECT got to present. So keep in mind the disparate amount of negative information that you get.
Mike, the doctor advocating shock here is making some false statements. For example, ECT was not outlawed in California. It was only Berkeley, and there was a restraining order that the psychiatrist could keep on giving shock within the city limits, and then it was overturned as interfering with medical practice. So his statement that these poor people had to go to Arizona and Texas to get shock treatment was just a fabrication. How much else, I'm not sure. That I will put his statements and my conversation with him together in a single videotape for your own consideration later. One shock treatment can equal 150 joules of energy. This is equal to dropping a hammer on someone's head from higher than a 5-story building.
At the FDA hearings, the testimony on the reclassification of electroconvulsive devices cited the literature as whether signed or false, typically about 150 joules of energy in a treatment. With the new Thymatron electroconvulsive device, which you check out at 400 volts maximum of 0.9 amps and 350 some millisecond pulses.
Could you finish up your question, your remarks?
Yeah, I would like somebody to tell me. I'm a teacher as well as a physicist, and I brought a kilogram with me. Teachers like to demonstrate. Now, this is a kilogram. It's 2.2 pounds, heavier than a hammer used to hit an amp. That I wonder if possibly like Dr. Stein could tell me how high I would have to drop this kilogram from in order to have it hit the ground with 150 joules of energy.
I don't know if that question is in the purview of the panel, but that may be the point. I'd like to go on to the next person.
This is only 10 joules of energy. You're talking about dropping it from higher than a 5-story building. That's physics. Supposed to be in pre-med backgrounds.
Thank you.
I never got
All right, out with your gun. Out with your gun.
Okay, this won't hurt. It'll be over in just a moment.
What's that?
Conductant.
Oh, dab will do you. Right, Mr. Jackson?
Open your mouth.
What's that?
This will keep you from biting your tongue.
Well,
Now just bite down on it. That's right. Just bite down. Now bite down on it.
Good. Are you ready?
Ready.